Okay guys, today we are going to be doing a flipping out video for equations, tables, and graphs. You're going to need this worksheet. It is called 4 Square Equations at the top. You're also going to need a pen or pencil, so if you don't have those things, pause the video and go find them. So we're talking about equations, tables, and graphs. Remember, equations, tables, graphs, and situations are all related. So we can create all 4 of them on one situation. So make sure your name's at the top. And we need to make one change real quick. If you will cross off the word half right here, get rid of that so that we can continue. Okay, so it says use the information provided in the 4 sections of the board to complete any information, then answer the questions that follow. So the problem says house plumbing charges blank dollars per hour for labor in addition to a service fee of blank. Write an equation that could be used to determine C, the total cost of plumbing repairs by house plumbing for H hours. So I need to fill in these blanks, and then I've got an equation here. But let's go ahead and define each variable. And it tells us in the problem that C is the total cost for plumbing repairs. So you're going to write total cost for repairs, and that's what C is representing in our equation. And then it tells us that H is the number of hours. So write number of hours. And in this problem, they actually give us the equation. They tell us that C is equal to 25 plus 15H. When if I know that C is my total cost and H is my number of hours, 15 times H, that's my part that's changing every time, and that's my $15 per hour. So if I go back to this first part here, house plumbing charges $15 per hour for labor. They also charge an additional fee of $25. Now when I look at this, if I look at this equation, I know I want to determine if this is proportional or non-proportional. I know this is non-proportional, so write that down, and you can abbreviate. And the reason I know it's non-proportional is because there's a number added to it. Remember, a proportional relationship has no B. We call that the letter B. So if I go back to my situation and I want to decide if it's proportional or non-proportional, I've got my $15 per hour, but I also have an additional fee. So draw an arrow to that and write non-proportional. And it is non-proportional because of the additional fee that you have into the situation. So we filled out the first 2 boxes. We now need to go fill out the table. We can't make a graph until we have our table complete. So it says complete the table, determine C, the total cost of plumbing for house repair, or plumbing for H hours. So we have our hours, we have our costs, and we have our process. So we're going to use the equation up here in order to fill in the process column. So it's 25 plus 15 times 0.5. And if I think about 0.5 as 1/2, and I think about half of 15, well, half of 15 is $7.50. But you also have to pay that service fee of $25, so you need to combine those together. So on the side of your paper, add 7.5 and 25. So you can add a decimal and some zeros. 7 plus 5 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. So the cost for a half an hour, or 0.5 hours, is $32.50. Well, now we got to go and fill out the rest of the columns here. So 25 plus 15 times 1. Well, 15 times 1 is 15. Plus the additional 25. The total cost for 1 hour will be $40. And it's increasing like it should because there's an addition sign in the problem. So now we need to go and fill in the rest. 25 plus 15 times 1.5. 1.5. So I'm going to do 15 times 1.5. And if you remember your perfect squares, you can kind of think about this as 15 times 15, which is 225, and then there's 1 behind the decimal, so you have to hop it to get 22.5. Or if we're thinking about money, 22.50. And then don't forget to add your $25, your fee, to that. So that gives me a total there of $47.50. We have 2 more left. So 25 plus 15 times 2. Well, 15 times 2 is easy. That's 30. And then don't forget the 25. 30 plus 25 is 55. And then the last one, 25 plus 15 times 2.5. And I don't know what that is, so I'm going to have to actually multiply here. 1.5 times 2.5. So 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Don't forget your 0. 2 times 5 is 10, so write the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So it gives me 375, but then I have one, or not that one, so sorry. One number behind the decimal, so that's $37.50. But you also have your $25 fee. So it's $62.50. And again, it's increasing every time. Now that I have the table complete, I go over to the graph and I need to plot my points. Remember, this is your X and this is your Y. So your first point is 0.5 and 32.5. Okay, so you're going to go, and this is counting by ones, but there's a half in between. So you're going to go up or over to 0.5 and up, and you're going to just kind of estimate to 32.5. Your next point is 1 and 40, so that one should be pretty easy. Then 1.5 and 47.50. 2 and 55. And then 2.5 and about 62.5. And if you have a ruler, it might help you out here. You can draw a line and connect your dots. And this has an arrow on the end because house plumbing may be at your house for more hours than what you can see on the graph. So when I look at this and I want to think about, is my graph proportional or non-proportional? My graph is non-proportional. And it is because it does not cross the origin. Remember, a proportional graph has to go through the origin. It is a straight line, but it doesn't cross the origin there. Okay, so we've completed the 4 corners. We just need to now answer our questions. The first one, A, says use your equation to determine the total cost for a plumbing job that takes 4.5 hours to complete. So if my equation is C equals 25 plus 15H, and it's 4.5 hours, I'm going to substitute that into the H. So it's C equals 25 plus 15 times 4.5. So on the side somewhere, you're going to do 4.5 times 15. 5 times 5 is 25. Write your 5, carry your 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. And then you have a 5 and a 4. So it's $67.50. So you still have to add that 25 to it, which means your total would be $92.50. So then the second question says, how could you use your graph to determine the reasonableness of the cost for 4.5 hours? So if I look at my graph and I go to 4.5 hours, that's right here. If I go straight up to that line, does that look like it could be about $92.50? Yes, and your graph may not be perfect right now, but you're going to write, you could continue the line, and you're going to go up from 4.5 and look where it crosses. So that it does look like it's about $92. Alright, question C. Use your equation to determine the number of hours if the final cost was $90. This time they're looking for hours and they give you the cost. So it's C equals 25 plus 15H. Instead of substituting in for your H here, you are going to substitute in for C. So it's 90 equals 25 plus 15H. And there's not much space there, so if you want to go down to the bottom and rewrite it, that might help. So if I'm solving this, my goal right now is going to be to get 15H by itself. Excuse In order to do that, I need to get rid of the 25. And this is really a positive 25, so the opposite or the inverse would be minus 25. Those cancel. 90 minus 25 is 65. So I have 65 equals 15h. Now my goal is going to be to get h by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 15 because the inverse of this multiplication is division. Now I don't really want to divide with that, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify 65 and 15. And I'm going to simplify them by 5. So that gets me to 13 and 3. So now it's going to be a little easier to divide. And I know that 13 divided by 3 is 4.3 repeating. So your answer is about 4.3 hours. So if you had a plumber at your house for 4.3 hours, it would cost you around $90. Now the last question says, use the graph to determine the reasonableness of your answer. So you're going to do the same thing we did on question B, except this time you're going to look at $90. When I go over from 90, it looks like I hit my graph about right here. And if I follow that down, it's somewhere between 4 and 4.5, so it's about 4.3. So we did well. Okay, flip your paper over to the back. The back side you are going to do on your own this weekend, so please fill in the 4 corners here, the 4 parts, and answer the questions that follow. Thank you very much.